Hi everyone. So for the last After Effects lesson of the semester for Art 50 storyboarding and Art 51 animation production students, I would like to show you how to work with 3D camera tool on Adobe After Effects. Okay, so uh, this time I'm not going to import any external files. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go ahead and create a new composition first. Composition, new composition. Okay, and I'm gonna name it 3D camera test. Okay, and I'm gonna go with typical widescreen screen aspect ratio, HD TV, 1080, 29.97 frame rate, as you can see. And I'm just gonna make a simple 5 seconds long composition. Hour, minute, second, frame, right? I'm gonna hit OK. So now I have the composition, blank composition. Um, so the next step would be I'm gonna go ahead and make a couple of rectangle shapes. Okay, so I'll make one shape right here. Then I'm gonna click out of it and then make different shape. Okay, click out of it and then just one more shape. You know, they're about similar size. Okay, so now I have 3 shape layers. They're all rectangles. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click all of them on the timeline right here and then put the mouse pointer at the end of all of these selected blocks on the timeline. Click and drag it right to fill up the entire length of the composition. And with everything being selected, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to layer and then click 3D layer. Okay, and then click out of it. And what I'm going to do next is to go to layer and new and click camera. Okay, camera. And for now, I'm not going to go over any specification on here. We're just going to go with the default setting for the camera and hit OK. So now you have a camera layer and expand the duration of the camera layer to fill up the entire length of the composition. Okay. Now, instead of this one view, on the bottom of composition panel, you see there's one view, or how many views of the window you want to see. You're going to click on it, and then you're going to go to 4 views. 4 views. So now you have 4 views: top, active camera, front, and right. Okay. So what we're going to be using the most actually is active camera and right. Okay. So even though I'm going to constantly keep an eye on other views as well. Okay. So active camera is important because this is the final look of how the animation is gonna be, right? Um, and this view is by the way, since you already finished making these shapes, go back on your tools panel up here, go back to the selection tool. So if you click on the camera, you can see there's a camera and this is the view. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to the zoom on the right view, which is the camera view. I'm gonna hit Command plus or Control plus on PC. On Mac, Command plus, and then gonna the window a little bit bigger. And if you hit the space bar on your keyboard to the point the pointer turns into this little hand icon, you can move it around there too. I'm going to zoom out of this particular window by hitting Command minus once again. Okay, so shape layer 3, which is, if you click, it shows what that is. This yellow occur box, and then the pink box shape layer 2, and then the brown box shape layer 1. And so what I'm going to do with shape layer 3, since this is on top of all of these layers, and ideally this should be the closest to the camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring my mouse cursor over there with the shape layer 3, which is the yellow box selected. And then when you bring your mouse pointer near there in the right view, it turns into, depending on where you're at, it turns into X, Y, and then Z. So when it switch over to Z, which is to create the depth, or how one object is close to or far away from the camera, you click on it and then drag it over. Considering this is where the camera is, you know what I mean? And drag it over near the camera. And then Y is to go up, right? Up. Somewhere around here. And then maybe I'll move it a little bit to the right. And the same thing with layer 2. Now layer 2, which is the pink box, when the mouse pointer turns into Z, click and drag it over nearer to the camera, but not as quite near as this yellow box. And then this one, which is what? The layer number 1, which is the brown box, right? When the mouse pointer turns into Z, you click and drag it all the way further back, and you could even sort of, move it around. All right, something like this. And then what I'm gonna do is, so pretty much in terms of the placement of these boxes, I'm gonna leave it there. Okay. Now the next one is all I have to do at this point is to animate the camera. Before knowing how to use 3D camera, in order to bring something close to the camera in the active camera view, from what some of you guys might remember, is to animate keyframes on the scale in the transformation. But in this case, you click the camera, click this little arrow next to the camera on the timeline where I'm pointing, go to transform. So basically what I do is, even though it's only the point of interest, or a couple of these functions under transform we're going to be animating, I'm just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and click the point of interest, and then hold down the shift on the keyboard, and then click Z rotation, basically everything here, and click the keyframe so that all of these animation tools can be selected. Keyframe, see look, this diamond shapes created in the beginning of the timeline, the keyframes, correct? And you're going to move your current time indicator towards the end of the timeline. And all I have to do at this point is to click on the Z. Bring your mouse cursor near where the camera is until it turns to Z. So I want to basically travel through the space, and then click and drag it over. And my goal is to bring it near where the brown box is, and then perhaps I'll bring it a little bit more down, and then a little more to the left. Okay, there. So if you bring your mouse cursor in the beginning and then change your view to one view, which is the active camera, correct? Fit up to 200% in the view. Okay, and hit spacebar on your keyboard. So it's rendering. And if I want to slow in, ease in at the end, just click the last set of keyframes, right click on it, keyframe assistant, easy ease in. Okay, let's try again. You can see how the movement kind of slows in towards the end, right? So in terms of making an object small or large, or making it move up or down or to the side, I didn't animate any keyframe in terms of position or scale or anything like that, correct? All I did was to place or position each one of these three boxes accordingly. One near the camera, right? The second layer, which was the pink box, behind the yellow box, farther away from the camera than the yellow box. The brown box all the way in the back, as you can see. So all I did in terms of those boxes was to just position them accordingly. Keep in mind when I first drew those three boxes, those were the same size boxes or similar size boxes, correct? Okay. And just as a reminder, well, this was just really quick demonstration purpose, animation, but let's pretend that this is something you want to make an MP4 movie file out of. You need to go to Composition, Add to Adobe Media Encoder Queue. Here's the Media Encoder application. Now we have that 3D camera test that we just made, correct? Now, the first thing you want to do is to click on H264, which is the compression type, by the way. There you go, export settings. So the first thing I normally do is on the video part right here in the middle, I click match source. And I go down here for library settings per recommendation. I click on that and go to CBR and bring the Mbps target bitrate to 40. And then click on use maximum render quality. And if there's no audio, you can mark the export audio off. Click on the output name, okay, and then just go to wherever you want to save your file. I'm just gonna go to desktop and hit save, hit OK, and then hit the play button right here up here. It'll take, for how short this composition was, take a couple of seconds to render. And that's it.